It was supposed to be just another interview, until Karoline Leavitt grabbed the mic, and absolutely humiliated Robert De Niro on live television. What happened next? The internet couldn't believe it. Let's break down how one savage takedown left De Niro fuming on national TV, and why it's sparking a political firestorm right now. For weeks, Hollywood's been loud. Like, can't turn on your TV without hearing it loud. Every awards show, every late-night interview, every red carpet, same thing. Celebrity after celebrity using their platform not to entertain, but to lecture. And leading the charge? Robert De Niro. Yep, the Godfather guy, taxi driver, Hollywood royalty. But lately, it feels like he's less legendary actor and more grumpy political commentator. Every appearance, same script. Backhand index pointing right, Trump this. Backhand index pointing right, Republicans that. Backhand index pointing right, democracy is at risk. It's like watching someone's grandpa rant at Thanksgiving, except this one gets standing ovations in Beverly Hills. But here's the twist nobody saw coming: Karoline Leavitt doesn't play that game. Now, if you don't know who Karoline is, get ready. Former Trump White House comm staffer, sharp as a blade, rising star in conservative media. And while Hollywood's been busy virtue signaling, she's been busy training for moments just like this. Then it happened. The producers of a major live news panel made what can only be described as the biggest mistake of their careers. They booked Karoline Leavitt and Robert De Niro on the same segment. They probably thought it'd be one of those polite little debates where the conservative quietly tries to get a word in while the celebrity talks over them. Cute, right? Wrong. The second the host introduced the topic, Hollywood's role in politics, Karoline was locked in. No hesitation. No filter. Just pure, tactical precision. She looks directly into the camera and fires off a line that's now basically internet history. Backhand index pointing right, with all due respect, sir, the American people don't take political lectures from millionaires who play gangsters on screen and live in gated mansions. Collision boom. You could feel the oxygen leave the room. For a split second, you could hear nothing. Not a cough. Not a sip of coffee. Just awkward silence as everyone processed what just happened. The host tried to keep things on track, but you could see it, the panel was about to blow up. And Robert De Niro? He did not see that coming. His face? Red. Like, fully tomato mode in under 5 seconds. He started mumbling, you know that kind of half-muttering old men do when they just got called out but don't have a comeback ready? Yeah. That. He threw out random insults. Tried calling her a fascist, like he was auditioning for a role he forgot to prepare for. But Karoline? Did not blink. And that was just the beginning. The moment the host introduced the topic, Hollywood's role in politics, Karoline pounced. No hesitation. No filter. No fluff. Just raw, unapologetic heat aimed straight at the guy sitting across from her, Robert freakin' De Niro. And how did she start? Not with some soft opinion or safe talking point. No. Karoline locked her eyes on the camera lens, not even bothering to look directly at De Niro, and dropped the hammer. Backhand index pointing right, with all due respect, sir, the American people don't take political lectures from millionaires who play gangsters on screen and live in gated mansions. Let that marinate for a second. This wasn't just a disagreement. This was an attack on the entire Hollywood machine, wrapped up and delivered with a bow, aimed right at one of its biggest, loudest, and most sensitive mouths. And in that moment, you could practically feel the tension shooting out of the TV screen. Living rooms across America went silent. Twitter timelines froze mid-scroll. Even the studio audience, which was probably stacked with liberal producers and nervous interns, didn't know whether to gasp or cheer. One side of the internet? Cheering like they just watched someone hit a buzzer beater at the finals. The other side? Frantically typing up essays on why De Niro's been an icon for decades. Didn't matter. Karoline owned that stage. And De Niro? His face? Instant red. Like someone had just slapped him across the face with his own Oscar. Now here's the thing about De Niro, he's been in front of cameras longer than Karoline's been alive. He's played mob bosses, war heroes, tough guys, and masterminds. But acting tough in a movie set with scripted lines isn't the same thing as facing someone with receipts, stats, and the guts to say what most people are thinking but too afraid to say. He tried to cut in, stammering, stumbling, reaching for whatever insult he could grab off the top shelf of tired liberal comebacks. You don't even know what you're talking about," he blurted. Weak. You could tell even he knew it sounded weak. And then came the word that's basically De Niro's crutch at this point. Fascism. It's like he's got it preloaded into his brain. Doesn't matter what the argument is, he's going to mutter fascist, like someone muttering about conspiracy theories at a bus stop. It was like watching a bad dress rehearsal of one of his movies, except this wasn't a movie. This was live. Millions of people watching. And suddenly, Robert De Niro didn't look like the Hollywood icon. He looked like the guy at Thanksgiving dinner who drank too much wine and brought up politics before dessert. Meanwhile, Karoline? She didn't blink. Not once. Cool as ice. Calm as someone who's already seen the playbook, already knows how this argument ends, and is just watching it play out exactly like she predicted. And that's when things got wild. De Niro, realizing he wasn't winning the argument with actual facts or logic, went full emotional mode. Hands waving, raising his voice, interrupting. The host kept glancing between them, clearly panicking like, "Do we cut to commercial? Can we cut to commercial?" But the damage was already done. By the 2-minute mark, the chat on live streams was exploding with comments. Bros glitching. Did De Niro just malfunction on CNN? Karoline just ended this man's career in one sentence. Memes were forming in real time. That's when the tide turned. It wasn't just about this debate anymore. It became something bigger, a symbol of how regular Americans, especially younger conservatives, are done sitting quietly while elites from gated communities try to shame them on national TV. And Robert De Niro? The man who used to play gangsters now looked like he was getting verbally mugged in broad daylight. And it was only just getting started. Robert De Niro. One of Hollywood's biggest names, a guy who's been winning awards since before half the internet was even born, completely lost it. And I'm talking full malfunction. Emotional breakdown. Zero composure. Instead of going with a clever comeback or maybe laughing it off like a pro, he went for the worst route possible on live TV, personal attacks. Straight up boomer rage energy. With cameras rolling, lights blaring, and millions watching, De Niro snapped. Backhand index pointing right, "You don't know what you're talking about, kid. Go back to school." That's it? That's the best he had? One of the greatest actors of his generation, and his big line was something you'd hear from an angry uncle at a family barbecue? Weak. And the best part? Karoline didn't even flinch. Not a wince, not a blink, not even a smirk yet. She sat there like someone who's already read the last chapter of the book and knows exactly how the story ends. Finally, she gave him the smile. Not the fake, TV news polite smile, but that smile. The one that says, "White heavy checkmark, I just won this battle, and you know it too." And then? She delivered the knockout punch. Clean. Sharp. Savage. She leaned forward slightly and said, "Backhand index pointing right, you've been pretending to be tough your whole career. But when it comes to real debates? You crumble like a Hollywood script after test screenings." Boom. No special effects. No dramatic soundtrack. Just words, and they hit harder than any action scene De Niro's ever filmed. That was it. That was game over. De Niro threw his hands up like a coach whose team just missed the winning shot. He slouched back in his chair, muttering angrily, clearly realizing he'd just been verbally body slammed on live TV by someone young enough to be his granddaughter. And then it got worse. Mid-rant, he blurted out something, nobody sure exactly what, but it was bad enough that the producers had to hit the censor button. Yep. Live bleep. National television. De Niro getting censored like a rapper dropping F-bombs at the Grammys. You could almost hear the control room screaming. Cut. Cut. Go to commercial. But by then, it was too late. The damage was done. The internet doesn't wait for commercial breaks. Within minutes, that clip was everywhere. X, formerly Twitter. Exploding. TikTok. Flooded. YouTube Shorts. Full of reaction videos, memes, remixes, you name it. The whole internet caught that moment like wildfire in dry grass. One meme went viral instantly. De Niro, tough guy in the movies, but melts like butter on live TV. Brutal. Accurate. Comment sections were ruthless. Bro's been acting tough for 50 years and folded like a lawn chair in 2 minutes. De Niro can't handle a 20-something conservative? Yikes. And here's the thing, this wasn't just a clip. This was cultural. This was old Hollywood versus new conservative voices, live, in real time, for the world to see. It wasn't just embarrassing, it was career-defining. For Karoline. Instant win. For De Niro. A highlight reel of how not to debate someone younger, sharper, and way more in touch with regular Americans. Even people who don't usually watch political debates were tuning in. Why? Because everyone loves a good underdog story, and nothing's better than watching the Hollywood elite get knocked off their pedestal by someone they didn't even see coming. And by the time the show finally did cut to commercial, the internet had already decided who the winner was. Spoiler alert, it wasn't De Niro. By the time the live broadcast finally cut to commercial, it didn't even matter anymore. The internet had already taken control of the narrative. What started as a basic political panel turned into the viral moment of the week, maybe even the month. Robert De Niro, Hollywood royalty, verbally KO'd by a 20-something conservative on live TV. Clips of Karoline's brutal one-liner were everywhere. And I mean everywhere. TikTok edits with rap music in the background, reaction videos on YouTube, De Niro NPC, memes on X, formerly Twitter, Instagram reels with zoom-ins on his stunned face. The content machine was running at full speed. One TikTok hit 2 million views before the show even came back from commercial break. Caption. Backhand index pointing right, Karoline just sent De Niro back to 1976. Another one. Backhand index pointing right, Hollywood's loudest anti-Trump voice just got dunked on by someone who hasn't even hit 30 yet. And here's the part that Hollywood didn't see coming, normal people loved it. Not the influencer crowd, not the carefully curated media commentators, regular Americans. People who've been rolling their eyes at Hollywood's political tantrums for years. People who don't want another award show filled with celebrities screaming about the threat to democracy while wearing $10,000 dresses and drinking champagne in Beverly Hills. For them, this wasn't just a funny clip, it was personal. It was about standing up to the elite bubble that's been talking down to them for years. And finally, someone on their side, young, sharp, fearless, had walked into the lion's den and won. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, you could practically hear the panicked phone calls happening in Hollywood. Agents? Calling PR teams. Publicists? Calling producers. Producers? Calling anyone they knew at major media outlets begging, "We need positive headlines for De Niro now." Within hours, the headlines were split. Left-wing media tried their usual playbook. Robert De Niro heroically defends democracy in heated exchange. Yeah, okay. But no one was buying it. The comments under those articles? Brutal. Nobody was falling for the spin this time. Backhand index pointing right, defends democracy? Bro couldn't even defend himself from a polite 24-year-old. Backhand index pointing right, if that's defending democracy, we're screwed. And then came the mainstream influencers. Even creators who don't usually talk politics were reacting to the moment. Why? Because drama is drama, and this wasn't just politics anymore, this was content gold. Big creators with millions of followers were doing breakdowns of the debate, adding meme edits, pausing on De Niro's red face, zooming in on Karoline's savage smile. It didn't stop there. Brands started jumping on the moment. One conservative coffee company tweeted. Backhand index pointing right, our coffee's strong, but not as strong as Karoline's comebacks. #respect. And then came the remix videos. Somebody took Karoline's line. You crumble like a Hollywood script after test screenings, and layered it over a beat drop. Millions of views. It was no longer just a political moment. It was pop culture now. And poor Robert De Niro? Hollywood might protect him, but the internet doesn't hand out participation trophies. He could go back to acting, sure. But that clip? That awkward, stammering, red-faced meltdown? That's going to follow him like a bad IMDb review. Meanwhile, Karoline's followers skyrocketed overnight. Instagram, TikTok, X, numbers climbing by the second. Conservative influencers were already calling her the future of the movement. And honestly, they might be right. One live TV debate just became a full-on movement moment. And Hollywood? Hollywood just learned the hard way. Loudspeaker, don't underestimate the new generation of conservatives. We don't sit back anymore. By the next morning, it was official. Karoline Leavitt versus Robert De Niro wasn't just a debate, it was history. Not in the sense of some ancient political moment scholars would write essays about, but in the way memes and cultural shifts happen now, fast, wild, unstoppable. The clip of De Niro's meltdown was on everyone's feed. Even people who had zero interest in politics were sharing it with captions like, "Backhand index pointing right, I don't even follow this stuff but. Yikes. Backhand index pointing right, somebody get grandpa off the stage." And the best part? Hollywood couldn't spin it. They tried, oh, they tried. De Niro's PR team scrambled to put out statements about him being passionate and fighting for democracy, but the damage was done. This wasn't about politics anymore, it was about authenticity. Robert De Niro represented everything people are tired of: millionaires yelling at regular folks, acting like moral authorities while living in gated mansions, completely detached from the struggles of everyday Americans. And in one savage moment, Karoline exposed that hypocrisy like tearing the curtain off a cheap stage set. So, what happens next? For Karoline? Her star skyrocketed. Overnight, she became a household name in conservative circles. Invites started flooding in from podcasts, talk shows, conferences, fundraisers. Everybody wanted her on their platform. Not because she screamed, not because she caused chaos, but because she stood her ground with confidence and destroyed one of Hollywood's untouchables without breaking a sweat. Big conservative influencers were calling her the future of the movement. Even some moderates who usually roll their eyes at cable news were like, "Backhand index pointing right, okay, that was impressive." But here's where it gets interesting. This wasn't just a one-off viral moment. It signaled something bigger. Loudspeaker, the next generation of conservative voices, isn't here to apologize. They're not here to sit quietly while celebrities lecture America about values, between Oscar speeches and private jet trips to climate conferences. Karoline represented a shift: young, sharp, media-savvy, and totally unafraid to challenge the elite narrative, even if it means going toe-to-toe with a Hollywood legend on live television. And De Niro? What about him? He'll go back to his movies. He'll still have fans, sure. But now? Every time he pops up in an interview or tries to slam conservatives, that clip is going to be in the comments. Backhand index pointing right, didn't Karoline body you on live TV? Backhand index pointing right, bro, sit down. You got cooked already. It's permanent. It's digital history. And no PR team in the world can put that genie back in the bottle. But here's the real kicker. This clash wasn't just about Karoline versus De Niro. It was about old media versus new media. The old way of doing things, with celebrities controlling the narrative and regular people just quietly watching from the sidelines, is over. Social media flipped the script. Now, the audience talks back. Now, politicians can win the meme war. Now, one solid moment on a live stream can change the entire conversation. Karoline proved that you don't need Hollywood to go viral anymore. You just need the truth, a sharp tongue, and the guts to say what everyone else is thinking but afraid to say out loud. For Hollywood? Lesson learned: don't underestimate the new generation. We're online. We're loud. And we're not here to play nice anymore. As for Karoline? This wasn't the end. It was just episode 1. And trust me, the sequel's gonna hit harder. And there you have it, Hollywood's biggest loudmouth completely exposed on live TV. Karoline Leavitt didn't just win a debate, she bodied the whole celebrity lecture circuit in one shot. But here's the real question. Backhand index pointing right, are you tired of these millionaire elites trying to tell you how to live your life? Or do you think De Niro had a point? Drop your take in the comments. I'm reading all of them. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button so more people see it, and hit subscribe if you're done listening to Hollywood preach and ready for real talk. We're not done here, not even close. More stories. More takedowns. Coming soon. Stay sharp. Stay free. Catch you in the next one.